30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and
Well,
you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. This morning, talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champion of talk. This morning, we got in studio none other than the one and only Cleo Duke-Wright.
Morning.
How you doing there, Miss Cleo?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Treating you all right?
Yeah, life treats you the way life treats you. But I'm surviving and it's pretty good. And I got a smile on my face, so I guess it's all right. Got up this morning.
Uh-huh. How'd you make out in that storm? You know, over the weekend. Well, not the weekend, I guess Sunday. When did it snow?
Well, it started to snow on Saturday. I knew I wasn't going to church.
Uh-huh.
I just stayed in the house and enjoyed myself and was glad the first year I didn't have to clean off any snow or do anything. It was wonderful. I feel sorry for the people it wasn't wonderful for. I'm sorry about that, but I was very glad for myself that I didn't have to do that anymore.
So you have garage parking?
Yes.
Oh, so your car's covered. No shoveling.
No shoveling.
That's nice.
No shoveling. I just, would you please pull out my car? Pull out the car and go.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pay for it, but believe me, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, that's right, because it was yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, I got up. What time did I get up yesterday? I've been getting up real early. But I got up yesterday. It was,
and I was at Burger King yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
After I took my husband to daycare. I sat down. I said, I'm going to just sit down with some of my friends. Nobody was there, but it was so quiet and peaceful. I forgot that I had to get up. But Uncle Bubba came in, and he was telling me how he shoveled the snow the day before, shoveled the snow, and talking about the guy with the snow blower.
mm-hmm.
Uncle Bubba said, he's from Texas. Uncle Bubba said, "You got a snow blower?" And he had this is the story he was telling me. Just before it snowed, and he had a leaf blower. Let me go for it, because I'm messing up the story here. But he did shovel the snow. But let me tell you this story. the guy had a leaf blower. This is just for, you know, and in the fall, and Uncle Bubba had a rake. So Uncle Bubba said, "Well, you got a leaf blower?" The man said, "Yes," and he was just blowing his leaves, and you know, and Uncle Bubba was just raking his leaves. So after Uncle Bubba finished and packed up his leaves and put them away, he said the man was still out there blowing. And his leaves was going all over the place, and he was finished and went in the house. I say this because Uncle Bubba's 90-something years old. And he's out there where he was sitting. So that's that story. I thought it was funny. And yesterday he was saying he was out there shoveling snow. I said, "How come you shoveling snow at your age? Just get somebody to do it." He said, "No." He said, it's good for my golf game, you know." For him to be shoveling the snow, he's healthy. I mean, he looks healthy. He's still playing golf, and he's still shoveling snow. That's the way I want to be. I want to be still moving around when I'm 90-something years old.
And he's 90.
Yeah, he's in his 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. And he comes to Burger King every morning and eats his breakfast and sits there and listens to Lily complain and laughs and just shakes his head, And every once in a while gives us a little story, you know.
He sounds pretty resilient.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And there's quite a few 90-year-olds. I didn't realize how many 90-plus years that I know people that are that old.
Yeah.
And still walking around. He drives himself to Burger King every morning. You know, I'm saying, wow.
My dad is 90, and he was driving a school bus every morning.
Yeah.
He drives himself to the bus to work, which is really like down the pathway. You know, and then of course you can't drive down the path, but he drives to work. Then he does the walk around the bus and does the bus. Now, last Friday, he didn't show up for work.
Everybody was at his house, huh?
So, you know, they called the house. So, you know, you do the wellness check. Because he didn't go in once, you know, a year or two ago. So, he was in there, and he was unaware that he hadn't gone to work. And so they, you know, he was a little disoriented. So he took him to the hospital. My sister got in touch with my sister. He lives in Pennsylvania. So apparently he has some bleeding on his brain. So his speech is a little slurred. They did an MRI, which is how they figure it is.
Yeah.
So his speech is a little slurred. I talked to him. His speech was a little bit odd. It was weird. It almost sounded like a digitized voice. You know. But it was not getting better. So they're actually going to do surgery today at 12.
Oh, really?
But
To cauterize or
they're going to go in and try and relieve the bleeding. To find out where's the bleeding coming from. Cause
they don't know.
They don't know because the pool is it's not going down. Sometimes it'll heal itself, the doctor said. But the thing is that when he first went in, they told my sister, well, you know, we generally don't do anything for people in their 90s because they're too old. But and the reason I mentioned it's because you were talking about, you know, the resilience. But they told, what's today? Today's Tuesday. So on Sunday, they said, well, you know what? Your dad is in such great physical shape that, you know, the surgery is no more dangerous for him than somebody in their 30s. So we think that if we do this, it'll be better for him in terms of recovery. Mm-hmm. So he talked, my sister and I talked, and so at 12 o'clock today,
he's gonna go.
He's gonna actually 12:30. He'll be going into surgery. So
wow,
be prayerful for him. But he's fallen off of buildings. He's fell down a flight of steps. I mean, then he just gets up and just keeps on going. One of the funniest stories you'll ever hear from him is he built a 3-car garage plus upper,
a 3-floor garage.
A 3-car.
Oh, 3-car.
And then a little bay to park the tractor for mowing the lawn in. And then there's an upstairs. It's a semi kind of a, you could use it kind of like semi-office storage. He built this thing himself. By himself. Not at 90. But he built this thing. And he tells the story of how he was, putting down the floorboard and stuff. And then he said, I'm walking with this beam. I set it down. And the next thing I knew, I was on the first floor. It's hilarious to hear him tell the story. He says, oh my God, how did he get down here? He's looking around. He walked off the edge of the second floor.
And fell.
It fell.
And didn't even know it.
But he fell on his feet. So it was like that. All of a sudden, he was just on the first floor. But the way he makes it sound, and he says he started touching on his head and his knees. He wasn't injured. And so he went back upstairs and started working again. But the way he tells the story is hilarious. You have you in tears crying. But he is one of those kind of guys that no matter what the tragedy seems to be, he either pulls out of it or, gets through it, from car accidents to plane accidents to...
We'll be praying that this happens this time. This time also.
Yeah. About a year ago, he fell down the steps at his house. He came out and the porch was icy.
He fell?
He fell backwards. Which isn't funny, but he fell backwards down the steps and hit his head. But he said he was okay, and so he
got up.
He got up and went back up the steps, and he was living on the second floor. Actually, I guess this was 2 years ago now. He was 88.
You know how many young people would have been in the hospital like forever with the hip and the broken ankle and all those kinds of things, and he's just flying through this. Yeah. Now that's something. Some people are just like that.
And he's got this self-deprecating humor. So I talked to him on the phone. He said, well, how you doing, Dad? His voice sounds, that's how it sounds. It's weird. It sounds like it's digitized.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I guess I'm doing all right. If I feel like I'm in a plane flying in a thunderstorm. He said, I wish the plane would land because it's not a good feeling. He said, but I guess it's time to go pay the piper. I may have to pay the piper this time. My sister, Dad, stop. So, But
you see, he is so connected in his community, and that's, these people who think they want to be isolated, that's a mistake. He's so connected in his community that when he didn't do something that he usually does, people came right away. Oh, no, this is not, we got to go see about this.
Where's Jim?
Yeah.
He's never late.
You got to go see about that immediately.
So if he's late, something is wrong. Mm-hmm. So he didn't show, particularly for, if you don't show up to drive the bus, that's a whole route of kids.
Yes.
That doesn't get picked up. So they knew something was odd. So they did a wellness check, and he was at home. I think he was sitting down or laying on the couch or something.
And they took him to the hospital immediately.
Yeah. They knew something was wrong. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a stroke or just bleeding, but yeah. I don't think it's a stroke. But I don't know the technical. But my sister didn't. And she's a nurse. She's 62. She's younger than me. She's 18 months younger than me.
And she's in Pennsylvania.
She's in Pennsylvania, yeah. She's not too far. She's like 20 minutes from where he lives.
Oh, so she's right there.
Yeah.
Dealing with it. Okay.
Yeah. She's been trying to get him to not be independent. You know. But he's fiercely independent and extremely private. Yeah. He would be mad if he knew I was talking about him on the air like this. What's he gonna do? So, you know.
Well, I like to see you two together. I said, look at this exchange.
Oh, that's right. You were with
I was in the back seat.
In the back seat for what? 3 hours?
Look at listening to the exchange and the stubbornness on and the opinions. I said, wow.
The two most stubborn and opinionated people you ever wanted to meet argue with each other. Because him and I don't agree on things politically.
Well, that was extremely obvious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was obvious. But that was a nice day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you argue with your parents, you still treat them like they're your parents.
Oh yes.
Because you can't.
I argued with my father very gently.
Mm-hmm.
Not like I argue with my brother or my sister. Anybody.
Right.
You can only say the same thing a couple of times and you drop it.
Yeah.
But when the gal comes out, when he starts saying, well, gal, I say to myself, well, that's the end of that. Don't beat a dead horse. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not like my mother right now. I could argue with my mother. I had no problem in arguing with my mother and telling her my opinion, and she would say Cleo this and Cleo that, and and I would just argue with her. Of course, I was usually wrong, and she was usually very, very right, and I had to pay for whatever trouble I got myself into. And she had never one time ever said, I told you so.
Oh, she's not an I told you so kind of.
No, she never said I told you so. She just roll up her sleeves and help me get out of the mess that I got myself into. But no, she never said that.
Mm-hmm.
But she would warn.
Yeah, it's interesting because, of course, no matter what age you are, your parents are still your parents.
Still your parents, that's right.
And, I guess they look at you like you're still a kid, even though you're a full-grown adult. Now, my grown kids, I know they're grown. It's weird because in some way I still see them as...
You feel what?
I said my grown kids?
You said, did you say I feel? You said I feel.
No, they seem like, it feels like they're still kids. I know they're not. But, and they look like adults because they're big and everything. But in my mind, I still see them as when they were children running around the house and,
I told my son something. I said to him, I don't think, very few women, I said to him yesterday, can raise a a male all by themselves. There are women who could do it and do a wonderful, wonderful job.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think most women do. I think that the male misses out on something when it's just a woman who's and so he went up and told me some of the things that I told him to do as he was coming up, because I didn't think anything was wrong with it. But he's sitting there laughing his head off, saying, if I had done that, the guys would have laughed me. If you told me some things that I needed to do, that I could do, that I could never do. And so, and he just laughed. And when he told me about them, I laughed too. But I thought they were, I said, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. But for a guy, there was a lot wrong with it, because he's in a whole different set of people. Guys don't think like women.
Now, this is, of course, when they were younger.
When they were younger.
So then, ultimately, what you told them to do, they did not do. They opted not to take that particular advice, because it would.
They never told me.
Right.
They didn't do it.
Right.
They didn't even reply when I told them. They just listened and very politely, but they never actually did it. And of course, I never knew they didn't do it until until they were grown men, and said, "Ma, I couldn't have done that. I knew I couldn't have done that." Or they said, there was one thing I used to say, especially when I got scared and I didn't have all the resources that I needed. I would say, I maybe see some worriness in my children's eyes, and I would say, "Don't worry about a thing. Mommy has everything under control." And my son says to me last night, he said, when you said that, we said, "Oh no, it's really bad. It's really bad. We better call Auntie Dorothy. We better do something, because Mommy says everything is under control." I said that to ease their worriness.
Right.
Don't worry. Mommy has everything under control. And they never believed me.
That, in their mind, they interpret that as,
oh my God. He said, "Oh my God, how bad could it be?" But I did not. I thought I was comforting them. Like, one time we were in a snowstorm. I couldn't see anything in front of me. I was driving, and kids were in the back seat worried, and I said that. And Kobe said to me last night, "Oh my God, we're really in trouble when Mommy says that." And I never knew that. I said, wow. That made me feel, I laughed at it. It was funny when we were talking about it. But I felt kind of bad too, because I worried them more than they were worried in the first place. I just shut my mouth and just...
You don't even do anything or say anything. It is interesting. I'd like to I would think when I talk to my daughter and my son, the older one, it's interesting. I would like to hear from them the things that I never knew, because there were all kinds of things that my mother, of course, she's passed. But my mom swears up and down she knew about some of the things that my sister and I would do. Well, I know she didn't know. She said that afterwards when we would tell her about stuff. But I knew about those things. No. And so I'm wondering what kinds of things my kids have done that.
Well, if they shock you, if your children shocked you the way my sons have shocked me about some of the things that went on when they were, especially when they were teenagers, and where they went. I moved to a circle so they'd be safe. And where these kids,
going back where you moved from,
where there were people always home, and it was a circle, and I had to work, so I thought they were safer there. The things that they told me they did when they became teenagers. When they were grown, they told me I would have had a heart attack when they did them, and I knew it. And the experiences that they had that I knew nothing about. Sometimes I say to myself, my God, what kind of parent was I? You know, I'd go to work. My kids were getting on the school bus. I'd come home. My children were there, always there. You know, sometimes I worked late. But all those skip school things that I never heard about, experiences that I never heard about, I said, how come you didn't come home and tell me? There are a lot of things they just didn't tell me. They just,
because they would get in trouble.
Oh, and once this girl accused my son of raping her.
Oh my gosh.
My brother tells my son, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of this. Please do not tell your mother. So, no, it turned out that the girl just liked him. She just wanted him to be her boyfriend. It was a little childish thing. But, and my brother and my sister-in-law took care of that, but they didn't let me know not a thing. And so sometimes I get mad because they don't they didn't tell me. But, and then other times I said, I would have.
That's why they didn't tell you. Some things is good for you. Now, like my wife tells me most things, but there are some things
she does not tell
She doesn't tell me immediately, but she'll like kind of tell me on the backside. Like my daughter's 7, they had a little sex ed demonstration.
A what demonstration?
Demonstration at her school.
You
know how to, like condoms
protest
and stuff like that. And how to put them on. So I must have used some sort of device. I lost my mind. I was done. So because to me, this is not something you do in mixed company. And so I'm old fashioned. What can I say?
So she told you slowly and gently, huh?
She says, well, 7 had that big difficult class. So what difficult class? Well, in health. What do you mean? Well, they showed the children how to use, how to use. I says, what? And she said, yeah, in health. I said, that's in a mixed health class? Yes. That's not a co-ed conversation in my mind. So I'm still waiting to conversation with the principal of the school. I have to call her today.
They did it with the boys and the girls in the same class?
In the same class.
Well, you know how it is today.
Today, now see, so I guess it's.
I'd have been.
See, I'm old fashioned.
Yes.
And so today things are
I might be a little old fashioned myself. I don't know.
And I've kind of wrapped my head around the fact that I am, perhaps, that my 14-year-old and 12-year-old have a 64-year-old dad. If I was like a 30 or a 40-year-old dad, it might be different, but.
Things are so different.
They're very, very, very different.
So different. It's like almost you're living in a different world.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to myself, how much of this world do I want to be a part of? Because, and how much of it do I have to be a part of in order to survive in this world? Because there's so much I don't like. So much that worries me. So much that's, to me, not real. And but there was so much in our world that wasn't real and got us into a lot of trouble. I was listening to Billie Holiday in my car, and to some of her songs. Oh, my man, I love you so. Oh, and all of that. And she's telling how he could do anything, have other women do anything.
Ain't nobody business but my own.
But yeah,
right.
And I said to Billy, are you crazy? And so many of her songs, just the woman does not even exist. Doesn't even exist. Now, we had to get rid of that. But I think we went too far over to the other side. But we had to, I'm saying, are you crazy? My father, I told you many times, used to say, I'm the man. Do you know, I grew up thinking, and these girls grinning at the little boy. I said, you got to play stupid in order to have a boyfriend. You have to play stupid in order to have a boyfriend. I didn't really like them. I wanted a boyfriend really bad, but I didn't really like them because I didn't want to be stupid, and I didn't want to just be a rag doll or something, And I really hated my father to say that, although I loved him to death. I just and they used to, and I don't know if men still do this, hide themselves, put on this exterior tough, hide themselves. My father said to me one day, he had to go in a corner and cry because men don't cry. It made me feel so sad. I said, why does anyone, I said, you have people all around you that love you. Why would you do that?
Well, it's man code. It's old school man code, because today's men, it's not the same. So things have changed. But to your point about, I love old film noir, the black and white films.
Yes.
I watched the other day. It was called, it wasn't called Shakedown. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of it. But it was really good. Shelley Winters was in it.
She probably was crazy in the movie, was she?
Well, she was young. She was the quote unquote blonde bombshell. But in all of these, it's like 1940, 1942. In every last one, and it's kind of semi. Now, to talk about how much things have changed, as old-fashioned as I am, I was somewhat uncomfortable watching some of these movies because of the way they treated the women. Everybody was like slapping the women was like nothing. It was like slap,
Yeah.
Listen here, dame. That kind of stuff. And it's like, whoa, you could even play these movies. You can't even. You almost feel like you're breaking the law watching this, because things have changed so much. But the way that the women were treated, and what the women did, and the messages that they were sending out to women all over the country and around the world. This is how this is the role.
The man came home from work, because the woman didn't work, sat down in a chair, read his paper. This woman hasn't sat down since morning. She running around. She got the kids off to school. She made the lunch. Now she's doing the supper. She's washing the dishes. She's cleaning the house. She hasn't sat down yet. This man got up, went to work, came home, sat in his chair, read his paper. Maybe he has his little beer, and sits there. Then finally, the evening, she may plop herself down next to her husband, and they just might have a conversation that he feel like talking. Now, it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me then.
It doesn't make sense now.
And it doesn't. And the men, I remember one father, a little girl said to her father, "Okay, Daddy, yeah, you can have it." And the father said, "Yeah, I could take it if I want it." What kind of response is that? Just because I'm a man, I'll take it if I want it.
Mm.
I never saw a man that it amazed me when this new generation started coming up. I never saw a man push a baby carriage when I was little, or change a diaper. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. If I saw it, it wasn't often.
Now I used to always change my kids' diapers.
We did
from now, not the first set.
Not the first set.
Well, that's not necessarily true either. No. Brendan and Jessica. Yeah, those two over there. Yes, because when they were small, I would watch them during the day because I worked second shift and take them with me. But 7, Nia, from the time they came home from the hospital. No, and because I work from home, as long as they have been alive, the most time they spend, the adult they spend the most time with, outside of school now, was me, because I was with them all day. I took them everywhere. I took them on productions with me. I took them when I taught classes. I would take them both with me. I took them everywhere. And I have them on the stroller. This is where I got a really deep, profound appreciation for what women go through that have more than one child. Mm-hmm. Because my car was being rebuilt. My engine was being rebuilt. It took like a year and a half, almost 2 years. This was when they were babies. So I took them with me in the stroller in the snow. And so in the wintertime, you got 2 kids and you got them in a stroller and you're taking public transportation. And there's no like just cross the street anywhere. You got to go all the way down to the end of the block. Mm-hmm. Because the plows come and plow up the street. So you can't get over the, And it was difficult for me to lift. I take the kids out, but take one semi-walk, get the other, trying to lift them up in the stroller over the mountain of snow. It's ridiculous. So you have to push them everywhere in the snow. The sidewalks aren't always plowed. And this is normal, everyday
How about
life for most women that have kids.
Well, 4 kids was the average amount of kids that women had when I was coming up, and it was not unusual. 5 or 6, 13, 19 children, and that woman did everything.
Wash everything. Clothes, wash the children, manage all those things.
But she taught each one as it was coming up how to do
right.
how to do for the other. So it was a well-oiled machine.
But you said something that kind of rings a bell, because a lot of the young people today are useless. They don't know how to wash a plate. They can't. There's so much they don't do because their parents do it for them. But when you have multiple children, you can't do everything for everyone. Some kids have to learn how to do some stuff for their own, like the laundry. When we were growing up, my sister and I, of course, there was only 2 of us, but things were so different. We walked to school in kindergarten. We walked to school, came home for lunch, and went back
to school.
Mm-hmm. Had a key, not in kindergarten, but like in the 2nd and 3rd grade, we had a key. Latch key, key around your neck. My my sister and I, it was funny because, and this is I would encourage people to do this. We were talking the day after New Year's. It's interesting because she and I had a really, really good conversation. And it occurred to me when I was talking to her that we were each other's best friend growing up. I actually had kind of forgot that. But I was talking to her on the phone, and I don't know how, but we wound up on Google Maps. And so we were navigating the maps at the same time. We weren't sharing a screen. She was on her computer, I was on mine. And we were looking at the old neighborhood. I tell you, it was like we were driving around in the car, looking and pointing to stuff. Oh my God, look at this Sorrell's house, how much has changed. This neighborhood is nice. She started looking up the prices because it was one of the houses was for sale. House is $350,000. My mom and dad, I think they paid like $23,000 for their house. And so, we're looking at the houses, and I wouldn't mind moving back to this neighborhood. But we were on, it was like a virtual walk. We were walking around the neighborhood, went to the old school. Remember that hill? I do. We remember the hill where we used to go sled riding, and it was like very nostalgic.
Yes.
And then of course later on that Friday, my dad has this incident, but it was really interesting going back and the things that we used to do that a lot of kids today, they just don't do. We went outside. The greatest thing that could the worst thing, I should say, not greatest. The worst thing that could happen to you would be you be grounded and have to stay in the house.
Oh, that was a terrible thing.
That was the height of embarrassment. It was shameful.
You couldn't go outside.
You can't go out. Friends would tease you.
And sometimes you could, not only in the house, but you had to stay in your bedroom.
Stay in the room.
So you
You're grounded. You come home and go upstairs into your room.
Yep.
Crying.
After a while, the room wasn't so bad. You got used to it. You had things in the room to do, and it wasn't so bad. You didn't miss as much as you thought you would miss being grounded. But of course, you couldn't let anybody know that because then they'd do something else. So you had to keep quiet if you were satisfied, like going to bed without supper.
Now that's nothing. I never experienced that.
Yeah, my mother sent me to bed without supper. And I was asleep. I was just fine. She woke me up. I don't know if it was the middle of the night or where to give me supper. She suffered about it more than I suffered. I didn't suffer. I just went to sleep. But she suffered, and I don't know what time it was.
I wonder what parents do nowadays to what is the ultimate punishment nowadays? I guess
taking away your phone,
take
and your
phone away, computer. No
not
screen
letting
time.
you travel around the internet. I know technology is good, but I don't think it's good and bad. It's equally.
I think it's like anything that you have access to and can use. It can be used for good or bad.
Can use for good or bad. I'm sure the people who invented it meant it for good. But someone always finds something they could do bad with something. That's
you could do bad with a slingshot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a shovel or a hammer. You don't necessarily think of a hammer as a deadly weapon, but it can be.
So, like I said when I came in, don't let the devil in your house. Don't let those things in your house. Yes. So, see, and those are all the things that I'm thinking about. How do you navigate this world today at my age? How do you talk to people who always have their heads down? always have their heads down, no matter what. Everywhere I go, people have their heads down. How do you do that? Or they're talking on their phones, or they're doing something with their this or that, and nobody's having a conversation. You can get on the telephone, you can't find a person, and if you don't answer the machine's question right, they say goodbye.
And right.
And hang up on you, and you say customer service, and to get customer service, I stayed on the telephone to get those answers about my credit. I stayed on the telephone waiting for over an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I just put the telephone down before somebody came, and then she had to research, and then there was another hour. There's no people manning these telephones, and they don't care if they talk to you or not. They'll tell you goodbye, and we're the same way. We're getting to be the same way. Goodbye. Click. We don't talk to people. So when's it going to be that we actually don't talk to people? Period. We just don't. There's nobody to call because there's nobody on the other end because they're all machines. I think it's scary, but maybe people don't see it like I see it.
Well, I have a theory that, all change takes 13 weeks to embrace. And people generally don't like change. And so I would imagine that change is the scariest for those who have experienced a level of normality for a long period of time. Like you get used to things being a certain way. And I think you get a certain age that because of your age and because of your station in life, things stay that way in your orbit because the people around you know that you won't like it if you're told that you can't do certain things certain ways. So they just appease you until finally the change comes. Because, people are very intimidated by like the phone, like the smartphone.
Oh yeah.
And here are people who have done all kinds of things. They can type. They were professionals in whatever career they had. They were leaders, and yet they can't use a smartphone. It's not that they can't use the smartphone. It's different than what they're used to, and they don't want to use it.
There is so many things you have to do to get to a yes or a no or a switch. So many things you have to do. It's one thing if you just have to do, you're sitting there and you have to do this, that, and the other thing. But it's a different thing if you have to do 10 things to get to your answer. And then to come up and have some 4 or 5-year-old just do it.
It can't be that difficult if the 4 or 5-year-old can do
it. Just do this, just do this, and then the people who are going to teach you how to do this, they move so fast that you don't have a chance to have that little picture in your head to how
some reflection and process what it is you just saw.
It, or how so it makes sense in your head how you don't have that time. And if you're gonna learn it on the computer, that's even worse. Because on a computer they go step by step, they teach you each thing, and by the time you get to the 20th thing, you done forgot about the first thing, and you have to go back again and go over it again and go over it again.
But that's the natural learning process. It takes some time, and so I think if there's a reasonable expectation of when this can be accomplished and how long it's going to take, it can be done. Adults are hard to work with. Now, I remember at the TV station we would have tours, and the young people would come, and it wouldn't matter how old they were, from like almost from kindergarten age to high school even. But I could take a sixth grader, I could take 3 sixth graders, put them in front of a switcher like this stuff, and tell them what to do. I wouldn't say, stand by camera. I wouldn't give camera commands, but I would say, you see the red button? See the green button? Push the red button. All right. Now push the button over the green button. What happens? Well, it turned red. There you go. Push the other button. What happened? It turned red. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what buttons to push. All right. And you people on the camera, make the camera go right and left. All right. All right. So I'm going to teach you how to direct a show and do the technical direction. All right. Push the red button. All right. Stand by to push the green button. Push the green button. All right. Push the red button. All right. Stand by to push the green button. Okay. Stand by to push the red button. All right. Now I'm going to call the red button 1. All right. We're going to call that camera 1. All right. All right. Okay. Stand by to push camera 1. Now that's the red button. All right. Stand by to push camera 1. Stand by to push, what's that one? 2? Yep. Push that. 2. Okay. Stand by 1. Stand by 2. All right. Take 1. Take 2. Now they've learned it just like that. Now, have an adult, oh my God. Whole weekend. I don't understand why I got to push the button the way you tell me. Can't I just do it on my own? Oh, now see, here we go. Maximum resistance.
That's why they fire the old team and bring in the new.
Right. Because they're indoctrinated in a particular way that they think it should be, and you have to unpack all of that before you can start to do the things that are necessary. And so younger people have more of an opportunity, more of a desire. They're better situated to take new in. They're more accepting of new ideas and want to embrace them than the older folk who are buried and set in their way and refuse to have somebody tell them, especially if it's someone younger.
Well, that might be me a little bit.
I'm not saying that of you. I'm saying that of,
I'm just perplexed and I'd like to do a lot of things, but I want to do it with pencil and paper.
There's nothing wrong with pencil and paper.
I want to do things. I do things with pencil and paper. I'm comfortable with pencil and paper. I'm not comfortable with a computer.
I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who wants to write a book or a movie or a play or something. And so they were asking me, what should they do? I says, well, get you a composition notebook. Remember those, the black and white?
Yeah.
Get a composition notebook. Do not use a computer. I said, don't use a computer. Don't use your phone. Don't use a tablet. I want you to write it down on a piece of paper. So let's just start off real basic. Put some thoughts down. And the end of the story, right? Yes. All right. So you're going to start at the end. And now you're going to tell how you get there. So chapter 1 is the beginning of the story. And this is the end. And what you want to do is fill that in. So break it down into major sections. And that'll be between chapter 1, then chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, and on until you get to here. Now, start filling those in. And every time you get an idea, just write it down. Just write it down. All right. And a friend of mine, someone who wrote down their life manuscript in a computer. Thing crashed, lost everything.
Oh, wow. A long time coming. And
right. Now, in the time that they've been talking about having to redo it, they could have done it 6, 7 times. Get a piece of paper and start writing. There's nothing wrong with paper and a pencil, a pen.
I gotta do, yes. Well, I write everything down. I write everything down. I got so many pads and so many scripts and so many things that I've done on paper. You know, I'd have to collect them all to bring one thing together. You know, but I like pen because you don't have to, at least I don't have to think as much with the pencil and paper. I don't have to figure out what key to push. I could just write it.
Yeah.
I could just write it, you know. So
that's true. Cause then you got your mind, that creativity that just flows is interrupted by you looking for the right letter. Now where's H, and then you're looking at the screen. Oh, I must have mistyped. Now your mind is just distracted from the flow of the story to technically executing all this stuff.
Right. I wanted to write some prayers, and suggestion that I read was, you know, learn your strong verbs. You know, learn your strong verbs. I said strong verbs, so naturally I go to a book. I said, all right, I'm going to learn my strong verbs. So I buy this book, English verbs, and it's like it wasn't what I thought it was. It was. I said, I can get through this book. This book is so easy. What? I'm gonna send this book back, you know. So I tried doing one page. They have things you have to work out, and I did it, no problem. And then I looked back at the answer sheet. Wrong. I was shocked. I said, what in the world? So I said, well, maybe I better read something. So when I started reading, I realized, you know, maybe I've forgotten more than I thought I forgot. So I started learning verbs, basic verbs, past, present, and all of that. And now it's been very helpful to learn. Now I could when you learn words, because I love words anyway, and you learn how to put them together, boy, it's just like magic. How the story and how whatever you're doing just sort of jumps off the page when you're putting the right senses and the right everything together, and say, wow, look at that. Or you change something just because you want to change it, just tweak it a little bit. You're going to make this a little different. Then you can make things different if you know the way they usually go. You can tweak things a little bit and say, wow, look at that. Now, if I hadn't gotten the book, or I just wanted a page or something of strong verbs, but I got much more than that, and the writing's coming along much better.
All right, Miss Cleo. Time for the transition. Jonathan Smalls here. We're gonna take a short break. We'll be back and see what's happening on the local front from Jonathan Small. So have a great rest of your week.
I will. I am going to try. I'm starting back exercising. My son says, yeah, all those people with the resolutions, they're going to exercise. The gym will be empty next week. Don't worry. They'll say, well, I don't have to do it 3 days. Maybe I'll do it 2 days. Well, maybe I'll do it not a half hour. Maybe I'll do 15 minutes. And pretty soon, he said, they'll all be gone. Well, I hope I stick in there for a little longer than that.
Well, I think if you know, a little at a time, if you just show up there, and then you're good. Just go to the gym, then you're good. I think half the problem is getting there.
Yeah, I think
once you're there, I think most people
will work out.
Yeah,
we'll be all right.
All right. All right, my friends, stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. It's Morning Talk. And Jonathan Small will be right here. Good morning.
Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yeah. All right, my friends, welcome back in Studio 1A. Jonathan Small. In the background, the incomparable, the one and only, Jay Hogarth. This tune is called Both Feet on the Ground. So what's happening in your world, Jonathan?
Hey, man, the world is just relaxed. You know, obviously, if you're a football fan, you know, NFL playoffs, college. I think the college tournament final was last night. Michigan beat Washington. Unfortunately, I missed that game. I got off track. But, you know, college football now, that's all over with. Now it's the NFL playoffs coming to, it's the final stage. Just started the wild card games. And Saturdays and Sundays going to be real competitive, or at least interesting for NFL football playoffs. But for me personally, just taking it one stride at a time, getting through a little snow storm the other day, getting a mental adjustment to a transition, and trying to stay healthy. You know, your doctor always trying to advise you to do more exercise. You know, they always find a way you need to get more of that into your schedule. And I'm just not an exercise. I mean, exercise on the job, and I like to walk, but I can't get into a disciplinary, consistent exercise regime. And so that should be a goal. You know, like we was talking last week about goals you need to set. And
New Year's goals, or just goals in general?
Just the goals in general.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, better health and, you know, faith, spirituality, you know, get your whole life in balance. You know, needs to be not like, I don't want to say a goal, just something you need to just have as a priority. So, you know.
Well, as you're talking, it causes me to think, you know, maybe what people need are better habits. Because, you know, good habits it's just as hard to break as bad ones.
Right.
So, you know, you start putting down one habit and picking up another one. Exchange some of the bad habits for good habits.
Right.
Until the good habits become what you do, is you make it a habit of exercising.
Right. I'm a pretty clean-cut guy, you know. I don't smoke. Very rarely do I drink. I'm not a profanity, vulgar person. I'm not a person that likes to carry your clothes half down your behind. Certainly got some flaws I need to work on. You know, sometimes my attitude may not always be positive. So, you know, just a working process. You know, just, I don't know, you know, you're not gonna try to be perfect, but just try to be the best you can. And, you know, that's all that you can really do. But, you know, to each his own. You know, don't hold anything against somebody. Like Steve Harvey, he just said, you know, I just can't stop cussing. You know, he's a man of God and faith. But he just said he just feels better just to cuss.
He likes to cuss.
He likes to cuss. He tried to set an example, him and his wife. I guess his wife is a little bit more different for his grandchildren. And
what's he cussing around the grandkids?
Well, he said he was going to stop cussing around the grandkids, and he tried it for a while, and he just couldn't keep it up. Maybe it's just his comedianism. That's how he broke himself into comedy. You know, you have different comedians like Richard Pryor started off as a clean, you know, mouth person. Then he made a transition into a foul mouth person. Sinbad was the same way. Bill Cosby always kind of kept his comedy routine clean.
Yeah, Red Fox now.
Oh, boy. But you know who's even worse than Red Fox? LaWanda Page. If you think Red Fox had a dirty, which he did, you never heard LaWanda Page. Well, Aunt Esther. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy, she can make
adult humor.
But she's worse than Red Fox. I'm telling you, man, that lady. And you know the thing about LaWanda Page, she had to make like a transition from comedy when she made the transition from stand-up comedy to Sanford and Son. You probably can't tell the difference when you're looking at it on television, but it was like a adjustment period for her, because you used to operating one way on comedy, now you're doing things on television. But and then they say Mom's Mabley, yeah, she was one of the originals stand-up comedian.
The adult records.
Right. But
kids go to bed, bring them out, put them on the.
But I'm not gonna lie, my boys. I mean, I grew up as a Richard Pryor. My godfather, he had a Richard Pryor album. That End Is Crazy, something like that, 75. So me and my schoolmate, we used to always sneak it and play it when he was gone to work. And we was just laughing. Richard Pryor is just funny.
He's a funny guy.
Regardless. Yeah.
That's funny. So you would sneak. It's funny you say that, because in the first half of the program, Cleo and I were talking about the things that kids do, sneaking, that their parents, they're not like bad stuff, but stuff you didn't want no one else to know about.
Yeah.
So you went.
Oh, that was awful.
Sneaking and listening to Richard Pryor.
I mean, my godfather and my godmother. Well, my godmother was she was a Sunday school teacher, so she couldn't go for that. So you definitely had to sneak anything around her. And my mother kind of stayed out of the picture. She wasn't really into see, the thing about my godparents, we all watch television together, but some things we made a transition. They would let me watch certain, believe it or not, certain movies when cable first got started it. And Eddie Murphy, me and my godfather, we would watch 48 Hours, had no problem. So I don't know what the difference would have been between the Richard Pryor album.
Richard Pryor album and 48 Hours?
Well, that was I don't know if you remember. It was a great
48
movie.
Hours was a good movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, that was with what my
Nick
mom.
Nolte.
Yeah, right. So that's nothing like a Richard Pryor album.
Right. I mean, Eddie kind of
huge. Oh, wait. But you're talking Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy.
Or yeah.
I'm talking about Eddie Murphy's first film, 48 Hours.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm confusing him with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Rick, now you say, what's the difference between him and?
Well, I mean, the Richard Pryor album,
right.
That End Is Crazy. I don't want to say the N word.
Right.
That was a straight out, great funny album.
Right.
But everything on that album was going to be profanity, vulgar, laced.
Yes.
Where 48 Hours was a movie, and I gotta say this, man, because it don't really mean nothing. I had went to school because my godfather, he had retired, so he used to love to watch cable television, and he knew my mother was he respected my mother. He knew she wasn't, and his wife, he knew that she didn't want to listen to that.
Right.
So I came home from school. He was watching the movie 48 Hours. My mother was in the kitchen. He had the volume turned down kind of low where you could only hear it. You really couldn't. He could only hear it inside the living room. So he wanted to make sure that she didn't hear it in the kitchen. So I said that was kind of strange. I come home from school. He's watching 48 Hours. And the volume is turned down low. And then I started to realize, well, my mother's in the kitchen cooking, so he doesn't want her to hear the foul language and everything. But then me and him could watch the movie together, no problem. But them, Eddie Murphy obviously was like the transition from Richard Pryor, you would say? He was like like Michael Jordan to like Julius Erving to Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Because I mean, Eddie Murphy was a king.
Oh yeah,
still is. Still does a lot of good stuff. He just did a whole Christmas movie. The Christmas at Candy Cane Lane or something like that. We watched it. It was actually really good. It was good.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
he does.
That was an Eddie Murphy movie. Yes.
Well, Eddie Murphy made some great comedy albums now. See, when I got to that stage, now I just had my own cassette player.
Yeah.
Got this cassette and go inside my bedroom and I could listen to it at free will. So Eddie Murphy, something about Delirious, he came out with his first comedy album, and it was funny. He did Richard Simmons. I don't know if you remember this.
I remember Richard
him?
Simmons.
Oh, yeah, he had him backwards. He actually made a song sounding like Richard Simmons. I don't see. You got to get. I don't know if I still have that cassette.
So he was the fitness.
The fitness guy.
Fitness guy. Yeah. Richard Simmons. Yeah.
He did
kind of
that. Flamboyant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was mocking him on the song.
He used to mock everybody.
Everybody.
Remember, Hot Tub.
Yeah.
Doing James Brown.
James Brown. He had that backwards. I think he did Michael Jackson to some degree, but not that often. I don't think he did Michael Jackson too often.
Mm-hmm.
But he could do a lot of people. Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, very talented.
So he was one of the best. And but some people say Richard Pryor, because they did the movie Harlem Nights. Red Fox, Richard Pryor, and Eddie Murphy, and Dom DeLuise. Kind of like the generation Red Fox. Because Red Fox was really funny, even on Sanford and Son.
Yes. My mom and dad went to see him somewhere. I can't remember where. It was somewhere in the Philadelphia area. And some lady brought her kids. And he cussed he didn't cuss her out, but he let her know this is not Sanford and Sons.
Right.
What you bring your kids up in here for? But
yeah,
But
even on Sanford and Son, I mean, he obviously you are restricted on what you could say at that time. Particular, a couple times Richard Pryor did some of the writing. A couple storylines Richard Pryor wrote for Sanford and Son, and then one scene.
Now, is it safe to say you have seen every episode of Sanford and Son? I've
probably seen about 95%. I won't say every episode, but let's say close to 98 to 99%. And we're talking, I had that wrapped up decades ago. So I would say just about 98. Those shows, I've seen all of them. The Jeffersons.
Right.
Good Times.
Good Times.
I wrapped up pretty much 99, if not 100% of all of those shows. So that's like a give me. And trying to think of a few other shows in that era. All in the Family, the great Norman Lear. That's kind of what started that whole type of
situational comedy.
Sitcom.
Yep.
But see, you probably don't remember the history of All in the Family. Norman Lear they started it back in, I think, 1968. They did like another form of All in the Family. You didn't have Sally Struthers and Rob Reiner. You had two other people, and they had a difficult time getting it broadcast on CBS. So they did some type of pilot episodes, and it just didn't get off the ground. So then eventually they would get All in the Family broadcast in 1971. And the thing about All in the Family is that just opened up the door for Maude, Good Times, what they call it when you like a spinoff. Now, how did you feel about Norman Lear's storylines?
Well, those shows were popular. What, 70? When were they?
70s, pretty much.
Right.
I mean, they had transitioned into the 80s, but
right. But then like 79, 78. I would see All in the Family. And the Jeffersons I saw more of.
Okay.
But at 19, I moved to Hartford.
Right.
And I worked at Pratt Whitney, and I worked second shift. So everything that came on television,
right,
for the most part, I missed.
Oh, okay, because you work in second shift. Because I work in
second shift, and so all of those nighttime programs came and left. I mean, I'm aware of them, but I didn't see them every Friday night or every Wednesday night. Maude, Mork and Mindy, all of those shows, the Star Treks, the original I've seen, but there's a lot of them that I've never seen in their entirety. Maybe I've seen bits and pieces of seasons here and there, but anything that came on after 3:00,
you missed
to midnight, I missed.
And
I was at work.
And the only way you would have been able to watch them back
Repeats.
then is if you had because Oprah used to have a VCR. She loved this daytime soap operas, so she would tape. This is when you had the VCR more.
Yeah,
than
I had
so,
VCR,
okay.
right. But I would, I'm not. And eventually, TiVo. Remember TiVo?
No, I don't.
The TiVo, where you could record in real time and pause the show.
Oh, okay.
I have two of them. I still have. They're downstairs in the basement.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize
they
that.
work, but I mean, they're old.
Yeah.
You don't need them now, but no, I never was one for recording shows. I had a CD, a video CD recorder. It was called a Terrapin. Made the video CD recorder. That was before the DVDs came out, and that's in my basement.
But I'm kind of getting the impression, Stan, that you like television, but you wasn't addicted. Like you didn't feel like you missed out if you missed those shows.
No,
okay.
no. In fact, I would get angry if over the weekend you're watching something that's good on a Sunday. And then I was pretty good at figuring them out, but it's Sunday. It's like 11:15.
Yeah.
This show is not going to end.
Right.
And then it got me hooked up on a mini series, and I had to put 2 hours into this program, and it's going to finish tomorrow and then Tuesday. The advent of the mini. Remember the mini series, and so of course So no, I can't. I'm not. I like to watch things in their entirety. So I'm an easy prey for, what do you call it? Binging.
Bingy. Yeah.
Binge. I will binge. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But the beauty of that is now, of course, with Netflix, you can go back and watch all of those great shows that you've never seen before. So right now, my newest binge is the film noir.
Oh, okay.
The old black and white movies. The B movies.
Right.
That they were pumping out, left and right. That,
Yeah.
Old gangster movies and crime dramas and World War II movies and things like that.
Well, we could talk about television. Although I know I like science fiction movie, but not as much as you and Michael. Y'all.
No,
really,
I like science fiction.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but Dallas. I'm kind of addicted to the TV drama Dallas.
Dallas?
Oh man,
Dallas, the nighttime soap.
Nighttime soap
with J.R. Ewing.
Oh man, that's therapy. That's therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Dallas. What was the other one?
Well, you had many of them. You had Knots Landings. I didn't like that. I didn't.
But there was another one like Dallas.
The Dynasty.
Dynasty, yeah.
See, a lot of females love the Dynasty.
Dynasty, and
you had several though. You had Falcon Crest.
But
see, I was only in the Dallas though. I mean, I would watch those.
Yeah, like who shot Jr. You'd have thought he was the president of the United States.
Yeah, that was the bomb then. But even before he got to that, but that was like the turning point that everybody was glued to that episode of they had some type of television strike or actor strike. So they had I think they held it until November for the return of that year.
Now I remember, do you remember, I used to watch It Takes a Thief.
I heard of that. I didn't watch that.
I used to watch Room 222.
I heard of that. I didn't really watch that.
Julia.
I heard of that. I didn't really watch that.
Bill Bixby and the boy. What was that?
The Martian.
No.
Oh, it wasn't that one?
That was My Favorite Martian, but I used to watch My Favorite Martian. But he had to say, let me tell you about friends, that the two-hearted person in love. The Courtship of Eddie's Father.
I didn't watch that.
Yeah.
Well, you said Bill Bixby. Now I love the Hulk, but I didn't watch that.
The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Emergency, the original.
Yeah.
Back before they were ridiculous.
I watched a little of that on and off. But
yeah, Emergency. When it was really just about the fires and stuff like that.
So you like those type. I think you like the drama.
The drama, action,
action.
Starsky and Hutch.
You're getting warmer. I mean, that was okay.
Okay, what about my man Beretta?
That was pretty cool. He was cool now.
Yeah, Beretta.
Yeah, I give him some props.
The Rockford Files.
I could take it or leave it. You know, it wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't the worst. Barnaby Jones was so.
Barnaby Jones was kind of. It was just moved too slow. He talks too slow.
Too slow. Yeah. Kojak, to a certain degree.
Telly Savalas. Who loves you, baby? Yeah. With the lollipop.
The lollipop, the bald head. But he brought the gritty, hardcore style to mainstream.
He played. Who did he play? He played. He played Blofeld in one of the Bond movies. I think, which one was that? I can't remember the way. But he was Blofeld, Telly Savalas back.
Yeah.
Bond. He had a Bond bad guy. Telly Savalas was big. What about Kojak?
Well, that's what I just said. Telly Savalas played Kojak. Kojak was kind of. I mean, I was a little baby, but yeah, I could get into it because everybody talked about Kojak. You know, who loves you, baby? Well, I mean, he got his Greek accent, how he said it. But, you know, Kojak was the one that kind of brought the gritty, tough style. So I give him props for that. I didn't get really addicted to it, but, you know, older cousins, they would always talk about Kojak. They would just love to watch Kojak. And then Carol Burnett, I didn't really like
the Carol Burnett show. It
was good. It was good.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh man, my older cousins, man, they was addicted to Carol Burnett.
Yeah, Carol Burnett was a funny show. I mean, she leave snot nose.
They were
crying, just hilarious. Her skits and stuff.
Well, you see, they had to hold back because it was a live format, so you could almost see them about to break up and laugh because they say this Tim Conway.
I mean the crew. I mean them cats was geniuses.
But well, Vicky, what's the lady? Vicky Lake or Vicky Morgan? I kind of liked her with Mama's Place. Now she was that part. I liked her style. Carol, I mean, I got to give Carol Burnett her due. It just didn't. I could take it or leave it.
Original crew of Saturday Night Live.
Oh yes, John Belushi.
Yeah, and Dan Aykroyd and all the In Living Color.
Oh, definitely. That's the '90s era,
right?
Man. You talking about
that was
the Winans? Yeah,
I mean, you know, they were so good they couldn't get any better. So that's
Damon Wayans, the Amon, the Jamaican family. He did. What else did they do on the Winans?
They did Farrakhan on that.
Farrakhan. Yeah, he had that.
The Wrath of Khan.
The Wrath of Khan. Jim Carrey was good. They had so much chemistry, man, with the Winans. Well, the Marlon Winans family.
Yeah.
Keenan, the dancing, the music.
They did Oprah too.
Oh, they did everybody.
Them cats was ruthless.
Yeah.
They were just ruthless.
But good.
They were very good.
Yeah.
In Living Color.
In Living Color, yeah. That was kind of like the transitions from Saturday Night Live to a little different style. So they
kicked it up, way up.
Way up, yeah.
Way up. Nobody could touch them.
Right. They kind of was like Arsenio when he was on his level for that 4 to 5 year peak.
Yeah.
Although he didn't surpass Johnny Carson, but he was probably more funnier to the urban people than even Johnny Carson.
The Dog Pound.
Yeah, Dog Pound. But what happened to Arsenio? He tried to come back and he
had Ice-T.
Yeah.
And that was it. Cop Killer, remember that?
Cop Killer. Well, Ice-T.
Was it Ice-T or did he bring on? I think he brought Louis Farrakhan.
Farrakhan was the one.
Yeah, when he had Louis Farrakhan on, that's what ended it. Because Ice-T was on the edge.
Yeah.
But then he brought Louis Farrakhan on, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on, and that he was done.
Well, he will tell you he was gonna quit anyway, but I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I don't want to. It seemed just too much of a coincidence that shortly after Farrakhan came on, then the show ended. You know, I mean, what are you trying to fool? But Saturday Night Live, the original Guild, the late Guild Naradna, John Belushi. I mean, I used to love when they did the Saturday Night Fever portrayal of acting like John Travolta and the people that he hung out with. I mean, Dan Aykroyd was funny. You need to watch that Richard Pryor, Dan Aykroyd interview, one of the funniest segments. Richard Pryor was being interviewed for a job by Dan Aykroyd, and the rest is history, man. It was one of the funniest sitcom sets that they had that I think personally.
I'll watch it after we get off when I end my broadcast.
Bring back good memories. We didn't talk about anything locally, unfortunately, because I know some big news happened this past week. We out of time. So
we're out of time.
So now
we're out of time.
Surpass the local scene.
Yeah, I got a hard stop because we got All About You coming up.
Right. All About You.
At 11.
Yeah. Well, we'll make a rain check for the all local. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can get around and talk about it.
The local news is always here.
Yeah.
Always here.
William
they
DeBella.
had the swearing in ceremonies for the inaugural ceremonies for City Council, Treasurer, and of course the Mayor again. Last night at City Hall. That was pretty interesting. That was pretty.
I watched part of it. Joe Winch did an excellent job. You did an excellent job putting it together. I think you made a good selection. And I didn't watch the entirety, but
it was good. She did a good job. She always does. Yeah.
Very good job, So I'm glad y'all participated in that. And we'll just see how things go. I mean, all the ball now that they had. Everything's like now should be ready to go into full gear.
100 days, and then folks will start coming out with the long knives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey man, keep up the good work. With what you're doing. That's all that I can say.
Hey, all we can do is press on and do the best we can with what we got.
Right.
All right, Jonathan. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Here. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my friends, we'll see you next time. You all have a great rest of your day, and stay tuned to accesstv.org. We have all kinds of neat stuff with local people coming up. So, see you next time. Bye-bye.